studio du cinéma.
Welcome to Lazy Idiots Do Cinema, the movie review podcast where two generations of film fans who work in the entertainment industry talk about what's great and what sucks. And following the lead of the great William Goldman, we try to remember his adage, nobody knows anything. I'm Adam Paul, an actor, writer, and director in Hollywood for the past 25 years, and I'm joined by award-winning editor JP Bernardo, whose work includes Netflix's Outer Banks, ABC's Blackish, and cult favorites Firefly and Warehouse 13. No corncob pipe today, JP?
No, I didn't have time.
Okay.
But I may get it. Go on.
All right, maybe you'll have another mouth prop you can use
Whoa.
with us. I'm also joined by actor Anthony Caro, who is currently in the Netflix hit comedy Unstable with Rob Lowe and his fantastic son, whose name I'm forgetting right now. That's probably
Johnny.
And Johnny Lowe.
Nice guy.
A very nice guy. Okay, this week we're reviewing Warner Brothers Pictures' The Flash, where worlds collide when the Flash uses his superpowers to travel back in time to change the events of the past. Directed by Andres Muschietti and a screenplay by Christina Hodson. It stars Ezra Miller, Sasha Calle, Michael Shannon, Ron Livingston, and Maribel Verdu, among many, many others. It was released on June 16th and has a runtime of 2 hours and 24 goddamn minutes and is rated PG-13. Before we even get into our deep dive on the film and each other's personal lives, we're going to rate it with no explanation. And we rate films, as a reminder, in this podcast on a scale of 1 to 5 as follows. 1, worth seeing in the theater. 2, worth renting. 3, wait for streaming. 4, tolerate viewing when your partner gets to choose what to watch. And 5, fake your own death to avoid seeing. Which of you would like to go first with your number selection?
I'll go first.
Good.
Wait for streaming.
Excellent.
That's a 3.
Yeah,
it's a 3. JP?
Thanks, JP.
I'm with you, Anthony.
Nice.
I'm writing it down. JP is also a 3.
Correct.
I'll be a 3 as well.
All right. You
All
writing
right.
that down too? Keep
I
track
wrote-
of
yes.
this, Adam.
Oh, wow. We're all the
That's good.
same.
I wrote it all down just in case. Just in case I forget. Okay. Good. Now we are toying with the idea of no longer talking about the industry unless something cool is going on. JP, is anything cool going on?
No.
I'll
mean,
just
To be fair, like the writer strike's still happening.
Yes.
Things are just, I don't know, things are at a bit of a lull.
they are at a lull.
That's true.
And so is the box office for The Flash. So we might as well just
Yeah.
jump into that and let's just play the stupid clip.
So you're saying you could travel back in time?
But Bruce, I can fix things. I can save people. I can save my mom. I can save your parents.
You could also destroy everything.
I love you, Mom. I love you too.
Boilerplate spoiler alert. I didn't like it. I'm just going to begin with
Really?
my 3.
You might as well start.
Yeah, I am starting. I guess I'd watch it streaming. It's a fucking mess. And the first line of the movie is, Bruce, where are you? This is a mess. Or something similar.
Or Barry,
And-
you mean?
No, somebody, Barry's calling for Bruce because there's multiple things happening
yeah.
that Alfred is. Look, I didn't see Justice League, and that might be a problem here. But I'm going to start with the most superficial thing. The special effects suck in this movie.
I think this is a good place to start. And I am going to say something that will.
Good.
I think this movie contains some of the best special effects I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about them.
And some of the worst, if not the worst.
Okay, so can we just start with the worst, which is there are many, many, many moments in this film where the characters look like video
CGI.
game characters. They look,
Yes.
and this is
Thank
Warner
you. I'm
Brothers.
so happy you're saying that.
This is Warner Brothers.
It was driving me insane.
I just heard a guy complain about the AirPods, Apple AirPods. He's like, I can't get them to sync. Apple's a $3 trillion company. Figure that shit out. Same thing with Warner Brothers. There's no
Oh, I see
excuse
where this
to
is
charge
going.
me $15 for a ticket and then show me characters that literally look like cartoon characters when that
Well, they
is
look
not
like video game characters, and
Video
it,
game, yeah.
it reminds me of when you saw The Rock in The Mummy 2. That's a real going way back.
yeah.
But it looks, and that was from, oh God, The Mummy 2, 98. I'm really guessing there.
Wow.
Yikes.
That's
That
how
was
long The
before
Rock has been around on camera.
That was before I was born.
Wow.
That is old.
Yeah.
But my point is that they were that level. Now, the director has spoken about this. I should pull up the quote, but he's doubling down and saying something about the fact that it's all from Barry's perspective. And when you see things from a certain perspective, that it's a bunch of BS, because even the babies at the beginning,
they look weird.
They look terrible.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
fuck him for doing that, quite honestly, because if it was from Barry's perspective, we just reviewed some of the best animation I've ever seen in my life with Spider-Man.
Right.
They
Right.
could have gone that way for those moments, right?
Yes.
And we would have bought it, and it would have
Yeah.
been better. It
Yep.
would have been better.
Wait, what? You said they should have gone the comic book route?
They could have. That's his
when you're
No.
going into that, I mean, it would have been
That would've
better
been
than what
weird.
we saw.
Would have
Weirder
been
than
better
what we
than
saw.
saw.
I don't know. I
No,
mean,
You're a
this was-
gamer. You're a gamer.
no.
so-
I'm still frustrated by. I wasn't super mad about the baby scene because how else are they going to do that scene other than
Better.
fully? I
Well,
mean,
of course it's going to be CG. There are better CG faces in many other movies that
Yeah.
don't have
It's-
budgets like this. What was the
I
budget
think.
on this?
I
JP?
think.
200.
$200 million that could have fed
Well,
By
starving
the-
babies anywhere.
By the way, they finished, this has been in post-production for over a year.
Yeah, they held it for COVID, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they were shooting this back in October of 21.
Yeah.
So they finished shooting this in February of 22. And here we are in June of 23. They've had a long time to work on this.
Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
I mean,
so-
I think the reason I bought the babies, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was still a little bit bothered by it, but I bought it because they spun it with the comedy of it. And, you know,
Right.
it was a fun, like him dancing through the objects and eating at the vending
Right.
machine. I liked that. I didn't mind that.
Yes, it to the movie's credit, right from the get-go, they were like, we're going to turn this into a comedy.
This is a comedy. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I
you're
had a
right about the
problem with that.
baby. Yeah, there's a lot of tonal
Too much.
issues in this
Too
movie.
much gag shit. Find your tone. Exactly.
Well,
There's
it's
a sense of
all
humor.
over the place.
And it feels like it's inspired by James Gunn, which is great. But I know he didn't really work on this movie in terms of production. And I look forward to him cleaning up this.
But wait a
fucking
minute.
mess
Did you
at
guys
Warner
see Guardians 3?
Yeah,
I thought that was great.
yeah, that was
in-
great.
in terms of dancing with both the CGI and because
And
none
that's
of those
James
moments
Gunn.
felt fake. I know that you just remind
and
me of
he's
that.
really good at that. He's really good at that.
He
and
nailed
it's
it.
It's why he's a great choice to take over DC at Warner Brothers. But
We'll see about that.
This movie is somehow inspired by him without really turning to him. for
No,
help.
this movie was made well before he stepped into his role. He had a lot to do with changing some things. There, I've been reading about cameos or endings, that were changed. Did you stick around to the very end, by the way, Adam? I'd be surprised if you did.
Past the credits, no.
No. Did you,
I
Anthony?
didn't. No, I wanted to leave. I was
What
done.
happens?
There was a final post-credit sequence with Aquaman, which
Just don't care.
Yeah, who gives a shit?
well, I
Go
wish
ahead.
you had seen it because it was awful.
Oh,
It was
And
awful.
It was awful. Like you were like, what was that all about? It just wasn't funny. Because
That's hilarious.
the movie. Here's the thing, and let me go before we leave off of this. When I said some of the best special effects, the two berries in one place was done so brilliantly.
I would agree.
I
would agree.
forgot that it was not two actors. That
I had moments like that too.
I agree.
so what's frustrating is that a movie that could get that so right, and like they were complicated
Right.
comping of two actors, it was stupendous,
Right.
absolutely flawless.
Right.
So that for me makes it more frustrating when you see then god awful visual effects.
Right.
Like at the beginning when he falls off, or he's hanging from the bridge, and there's like that scientist holding this briefcase of things, and then all of a sudden Barry's like the guy in his ear is like, oh, by the way, if that hits the water, everyone's gonna die.
Yeah,
so you better get that real quick. And it's like, wait,
really shitty
we
writing.
just found that out.
Right.
Well, I don't care.
Has nothing to do with visual effects, Anthony. But
I know it's not. I know it's not. But my point in bringing that up was that was the first time I noticed the CGI, because that scientist holding the thing was so clearly a video game, and I was like, were we expected to just let that go and not notice that?
So I can understand the director defending it because he's got to carry water for the studio and blah 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 blah. But what is the reasoning for such shitty CGI? We know it's not by choice, by design, right? I can see that Chrono Stadium being somehow a choice, like that's his because that's in slow time or reverse time or whatever, that somehow it's more painterly, but they still did a shitty job.
Wait, on
still
what?
Wasn't when he slows time down and he ends up in this stadium of,
he knows that it's called a Chrono Stadium, which is more than I knew.
They called it Chrono something. Chrono.
I'm
Stadium.
impressed, Adam.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I actually liked that thing because
I did not fall asleep during this movie. So
that's not a sign of whether you liked it or not, though.
Did you see it in the morning? You probably saw it in the morning.
I saw it at night. I saw it at 6 o'clock, and I only peed once.
Wow, and it's a long movie.
Did you get a medium? Did you get a medium size this time?
No, I didn't do. You know what? I got food at Capriati's and brought it in, and so the small soda was reasonable, human size.
You see how that works? You got a small soda, and you didn't have to pee as much.
Hold on, slow down with that math there, Anthony.
Let that simmer in your brains.
I'm writing it down right now.
That's what I'm supposed to know.
Yeah, right next to our scores. In case you forgot.
Why do we want to stream it? Why is it still worth streaming when we hated it so much?
It's fun. I mean, I like that they leaned into the comedy of it. I had a few laugh out loud moments.
I had several laugh out loud moments. Yeah. That's the strange thing. The cameo at the end, I guess we can spoil everything. It doesn't matter. Yeah,
we'll have. I didn't do the spoiler.
I burst out laughing with George Clooney.
It was hilarious.
I burst out laughing. And honestly, the whole Back to the Future with Eric Stoltz, I thought was, and then everyone had, I loved all of that stuff.
I did too. Yeah.
So there was a lot of, like, this movie was made for my generation because I don't know if the current generation knows that Eric Stoltz was in the original Back to the Future, or even more when they showed the Nick Cage Superman fighting the spider. There are very few people that get that joke.
Was that movie made?
That wasn't made, but John Peters had insisted that there be a giant spider in his Superman Reborn movie, and
that Nicolas Cage was slated to play the role, but
I didn't know that. I just thought it was an alternate universe, and they just had Nick Cage playing Superman.
It literally is it's very clever in terms of inside jokes, right?
It still worked for me,
right?
By the way, that whole sequence where we saw some of the Supermen, but not all of them,
right?
Really, all I could think of was like, didn't,
or all of the Batman.
The Batman.
Go ahead.
I was like, okay, so Henry Cavill didn't, or whatever his name is, did not approve of his likeness, and Brendan Roth gets screwed, and whoever was in Lois and Clark I did not. It was the choices it's either you do them all or you do none of them, but to get like three was very strange to me.
I can understand why they wouldn't include The Dark Knight. Because Warner Brothers hates Christopher Nolan now, and he them apparently. But let me tell you that this movie made me miss Nolan's Dark Knight world. That Batman was the Batman of my dreams, and that DC world was the DC world of my dreams. Because it felt real, and it was still funny. It had moments of comedy.
I did get chills hearing the Danny Elfman music and seeing
Absolutely. And honoring that along with Michael Keaton, very smart, brilliant. Did they use John Williams for when they showed Christopher Reeve?
He got credit in the title and the end credits, so I guess they did. I don't remember hearing it
either. Yeah.
But to go back to your question, why recommend it? For me, there were moments where I was like, oh, wait, this movie has finally found its groove, which really happened when Michael Keaton comes aboard and when they go try to save Supergirl. The whole sequence in Russia with Supergirl for me, even with her bad visual effects, but all of that was working. Her, when they drag her into the sunlight and you see her skin turn from purple to natural, like I was like, oh, this is awesome.
I liked her too. She's got presence and she'd be a great Supergirl. Like she's dark. She's Latina, I think.
No, sometimes I was like, is that a bedazzled S on her chest? Like I couldn't make out. It was a little weird.
You know, so is the Flash's outfit. So is Shazam and all that fucking bullshit. It's just bizarre to me.
So the opening so we have two Batman in this one, and the Ben Affleck Batman, and this was what really bothered me. The opening I thought was, it set the tone, but it was horrible. And my rant is this: first of all, we have now built up the Ben Affleck Batman. He has fought Superman. He's fought alien creatures. And in this movie, he's having a real tough time just getting 3 humans in a van to stop. Like it's taking him forever. And I'm like, why? Like,
man. Does his cowl always have that crazy sculpted furrow brow, or is that just in this movie? Because that also made it look like just everything was a terrible middle-aged struggle for him. I think he's a terrible Batman. I think we should.
I kind of agree.
Oh, I like him. I'm sorry. I like him.
I like Ben Affleck a lot, but for whatever reason, I don't know. He doesn't work as Batman to me.
Did you both see Justice League?
Yeah.
No, I heard it was bad.
I've seen the.
I saw Batman versus Superman.
The Zack Snyder version.
It's playing today at my gym, and it looked interesting. It looked more interesting than the Flash, that's for sure.
It's visually very cool. Zack Snyder has a great eye.
Right.
I have a question for you guys. Why do you think this DC Flash doesn't work like a Marvel movie works? Do you know what I mean? I feel like they're trying to find their footing, and they're just not.
We're going through a phase right now with this meta universe, and I cannot wait for this to end.
Yeah. I felt like I was just watching Spider-Man again, but in Flash context.
Right.
I was like, this is the exact same thing.
Right.
Exact same thing. So why it fails is, number one, like usual, DC is trying to mimic Marvel. They do not have their own personality in terms of a franchise. And I believe the studio heads are like more like that one.
Right. That's why they hired James Gunn.
Right. But the meta universe also reduces all the stakes for me. I'm like, well, we lost Batman in universe 4427, but he's still alive in 4426.
You can go get him and bring him back. It's right. The stakes are actually lower all the time.
Zilch. So, and then adding time travel to that really reduces the level of anxiety or of tension that I have in watching these scenes, because I know it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like nobody ever dies in these movies anymore. It's just whether or not the studio can re-up their contract or pay them enough for the next movie. Right. That's the only thing that kills a character.
Right.
And we're also aware of that. Like when you and I were growing up, Adam, we didn't know anything about movies. I didn't know, the Christopher Reeve contract negotiations for Superman 3 or 4. Now everybody knows this.
Right.
And we're aware of it. And speaking of being aware,
we know they're coming back. There's going to be a sequel where someone.
Yeah, because it's a big announcement. They just signed Robert Downey Jr. for Civil War. You're like, ooh, well, that's going to be interesting.
That's a Marvel movie.
Back, long ago. I'm talking in the past.
Yeah, it's Avengers.
Got it. Right.
But here's my other problem. Ezra Miller.
Yeah, good.
I couldn't shake his public problems with watch, and I usually can separate the two, but in this one, it was really hard because I thought he was good, yet somehow I was like, I
think if he was better, you would have been able to shake the problem.
Oh, maybe.
I think he's a little surfacey.
Why was he so like
Yeah, over animated.
Yeah.
He's always jittery, which
It wasn't
it's
bad.
an interesting character choice, but
I felt like it was a little too much sometimes.
much.
Especially at the beginning. I was like, oh, this is the tone of this movie. Okay.
yeah,
All
and
right.
his I didn't like his double necessarily either.
Oh, I do.
Oh, you mean 18-year-old,
Yeah, 18-year-old,
35-year-old Ezra Miller?
Right. It just
in a
felt like
wig?
he was pushing it, and the wigs in this movie are really a bit too much.
I didn't mind only because it's still in the comedic vein. So I was able to buy that more. And I thought he did act the two different roles pretty well. So like they were distinct enough.
100%. 100%. And like I said before, I really thought they were interacting. Not once did I ever think that, oh, he's just talking to a double.
Right.
And they're going to.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Yeah.
It was extraordinary.
But I, if I can, just for a minute, I think if he had, I don't think he's earned the ability to break into people's houses and have the shitscape of his personal life. I don't know that anybody has earned it, but he's not that.
I'm sorry. What did he do? Because I don't really know. I just
Mm-hmm.
know he's been on a bit of a hit list or cancel list.
Well, what did he do criminally? He was having some mental issues, and that might have been inspired by drugs. He broke into somebody's house, and
I know he
assaulted
choked
somebody.
someone in Iceland in a bar.
Right.
What?
Yeah, it's weird
the
stuff.
hell?
It's weird stuff.
Choked someone in Iceland in a bar.
Yeah, I've done that
on video,
but that's
Yeah.
oh,
No, that
we
was-
don't have enough time for your Iceland adventures.
right. Well, I didn't come out ahead.
I thought that was
struggle,
Greenland.
so. It was both, but Iceland is the one that got the press.
Oh, okay.
None of that.
We'll edit that part out.
Yeah, I'll just because I've got time to do that. So all right, we've covered Ezra Miller. We've covered some of the cameos that kept popping up. Michael Shannon. We want to talk about Michael Shannon for a minute.
Oh, I'll be more than happy.
Zod.
Well, this whole bringing Zod back and this whole the ending that occurs. Michael Shannon did not look like he wanted to be there. And of everybody, he felt the most like he was standing in front of a green screen, doing next to nothing.
Yeah. And same with Ezra Miller. There are moments where he's wearing his helmet where it's like, oh, they just sort of stitched in his lower face and his eyes.
Oh, wow.
Again, it's
Good for
another.
you.
Oh, no, the CG in that was bad too, because the suit is often CG and not him wearing it. I think the close-ups, there's some where you're like, this is terrible. But agreed with Michael Shannon not looking like he really wants to be there, and maybe not quite sure what movie he's in when he's already done these scenes, whatever, 10 years ago with Henry Cavill.
Yeah. And by the way, so here's another thing I have. As you know, I'm a huge fan of the Superman 78, the Richard Donner. And
it's my favorite superhero movie. It kind of changed my life.
So subsequently on my Facebook feed, I always get these pictures of, when they were making it. And I saw a picture of a full-size helicopter that was attached to a crane up next to a set of the Daily Planet.
Right.
And knowing that was for the scene where Superman rescues Lois and is holding onto the helicopter. And the scene is Superman's rising up and bringing it back up.
Right.
And you know how they shot that, which is they had the helicopter on a crane. And you look at it, you're like, holy crap, that was expensive. Right. Now, when you have to do all of that and create these sets, I think your mindset of how this scene is going to play is different than when you are dealing with CGI and you're sort of like, we're going to make, you have storyboards, but the visual effects guys will come up with it. Mm-hmm. Because like that scene at the end, like nothing had the gravitas of like that scene in Superman, because none of it was real. It doesn't feel real.
Right.
And it starts, I think what happens is the directors and producers watch it over and over and they're like, it'd be better if maybe she punches those three guys over there too. So they start becoming super busy.
Right. It's too much.
It's too much.
This is my point about Spider-Man too, is there's too much fucking action going on and you can't value any of it. It's why I fall asleep.
Yeah.
There's no story happening. Now it's Supergirl needs to punch 3 guys across the desert and they slam into this other ship, and there are 40 ships and they're all flying around and it's a war. Whereas in Superman 78, they dropped that helicopter off the side of a building. It's not, I mean, maybe it's a miniature, whatever, but it's filmed and framed perfectly for you to really feel the weight of a physical thing.
Yes.
Dropping in human Earth gravity instead of an illustrated image of a spaceship and its laser guns getting blown up. It's not tactile enough.
Well, I think you're going to get
Young
that
man
in,
Anthony.
Huh?
What are your takes on it?
I think you're going to get that in Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise.
Right, but does it bother you as much as it bothers us? Like, do you?
No, it does. It does. I mean, I kind of tune out, especially when it looks like a video game.
Right.
I had a trouble with the scene where Supergirl's chucking the scientists around.
Yeah.
And
First
like having a massacre. I was just like, all right.
Right. And they're like flying into people, and then they go flying for like a mile, right? It's like
also, I had no idea who this chick was. I don't follow comics like that. They didn't really set it up.
She explains it fairly. Well, I'm going to defend her because I think she's kind of cute, and I think she actually does a good job. But they do explain like she was sent to protect Kal-El. I like that storyline, and then she didn't make it or he didn't make it in that storyline. That's kind of interesting. Once again, we have the same problem we had in I guess Spider-Man, which is the character development is fucking shit. Like, I'd love to care about Barry, but you don't give me a second to do it.
Well, no, I care about him. Like, I want him to be with his mom again.
I got that. I got a little.
That scene at the end.
Yeah, the scene at the end's not bad, Adam. It's not bad.
I agree.
Where he's taking the tomatoes out. I was like, oh shit.
By the way,
that's too late. You have to you put that at the front. There has to be something at the front that allows us. And I know I didn't see Justice League, and maybe that happens in Justice League, but you owe me in the beginning of the scene, like Barry works at the lab, and I know he's always late, and he's got these idiots that make fun of him at the lab that are terrible. The 2 people in the lab, they're just like the fucking worst.
That's fair.
Oh my God.
There's so much stuff that's set up at the beginning. How about his little meter for the energy that we never address again in the rest of the movie?
Right.
Such a big deal at the beginning.
Right.
Because it was purely for a comedic effect.
And it was weird.
But they didn't set it up like that. They didn't set it up. They set it up
like a big deal, and that the other Barry didn't have it, and his suit was going to retain the electricity, which I know sort of comes out in their weird force power. Mm-hmm. Here's my other problem. X-Men First Class did the best, most brilliant job of Quicksilver. What's his name? Quicksilver. Anthony, help me here.
I am not a superhero guy.
Quicksilver. I don't know. But you know,
like a brand of clothes.
You know what I'm talking about. That wonderful scene, and with time in a bottle, and it was done so well. And that already was almost 10 years ago. And none of these others, this one with the babies, didn't come close to the beauty of that one. And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. But if you can't,
I think if we knew that Barry loved kids, something that he cared, and he cared
they're babies, Adam.
Shit, he puts one in a microwave to protect it, which is just like
from the fire.
All right. Yes, I understand, but putting a baby in a microwave is horror movie level like imagery. It's a weird looking baby anyway. It might as well have a cigar in its mouth because it looks sort of like an adult. Like there's so many terrible things that are happening there.
I also had a problem with some of the action sequences, especially the one where probably halfway through the movie, Barry gets shot in the knee.
Yes.
And then Batman just opens up his cape and all of a sudden is blocking like hundreds of bullets flying at them.
I kind of was like, sorry.
You dug it? I was like, how does this work? Batman's supposed to be a real human. Like he doesn't have special gifts.
But his whole thing is that all of his gear.
I didn't get that.
He doesn't have superpowers. So
he has gear. And it's all just like bullet.
It's bulletproof. Yeah. Listen, I don't remember you complaining in John Wick 4 when his jacket is bulletproof.
I never saw John Wick 4.
All right, well,
The thing
They
about
do the same
Batman,
thing.
and so look at this. You bring up a great point, which is that this movie relies on us.
This is why I like. This is why I like the Dark Knight Batman, because
Sure,
that's
grounded.
believable. This Batman's like flying around, keeping up with the Flash, keeping up with Superman. I'm like, this in no world would actually happen.
Well, but if we have an understanding that Batman's world is about all the cool toys that he's developed with his money, and that's what protects him at any time, but that's supposed to buy them some wiggle room there. But I agree with you that it's a little too outrageous, and the comedy is a perfect example of how sort of cavalier they are around the story, because the gags are way out of place or happen at weird times, and you're not sure whether or not you're supposed to take it seriously. And in the end, even in a comedy, we want to take it seriously. We want to care about the hero, and we want them to win.
Right.
And it's hard to do when you don't give us any room to participate, because there's so much fucking video game shit going on.
Yeah, there's a reason that the Joker made $1 billion. It's a very grounded, realistic film, and the same with the Chris Nolan films. And I think you're absolutely right, Anthony, that audiences prefer that. There's a real car crash, like if they just film a car crash, impacts me much more than the West Wing of the hospital falling down with babies coming out the window. Like, that means nothing to me. But
and we could talk about the Heath Ledger Joker, where they do blow up.
They blow up a whole building.
They blow up a hospital.
That's awesome.
And it's really, it's powerful. And there's no part of us. This is the AI. By the way, this is the AI conversation ultimately, because the way AI is affecting performance will be this constant back and forth of the uncanny valley of it's not quite human, but I guess I'm going to accept it. And what's going to happen is all we're going to do is go to the theater, for live theater from now on, in sports, in order to have any kind of experience.
That's interesting, though.
I don't think so.
I don't know if Adam's wrong.
I think AI is going to just be used as a tool, sure, but I don't think it's ever going to fully be.
I don't think so either.
AI actors.
I don't know.
Well, it will be tried. It will be attempted. It's already happening with voiceover.
The example you sent me was scary.
Yeah, I just did a sample for this paper I'm submitting to a journal, and there's two versions of me reading live, and then a clone version of my voice that I cloned in half an hour off of free software, and it sounds almost identical. And without my toying with it, changed pitch and tone, so that when it ended, it's the voice sort of wrapped up what I was saying, and I didn't ever read it that way. So it's terrifying in the end. But I think ultimately, Anthony, I agree with you in that I think audiences aren't going to buy it. Audiences are going to be like, it's okay, but I'm not moved by it. No one's going to be moved by this shit. And
it's kind of like
by the Flash. No one is moved by the Flash.
Right, and it's not making any money.
Right.
It's like plastic surgery, I think, with AI.
Right.
You only say something when it's bad, but if somebody has like good plastic surgery, you're not going to notice.
That's right.
So I feel like people won't notice if it's good, but
interesting.
I just don't think it's ever going to get to that point, at least visually. Sure, maybe auditory with your voice and the voiceover.
Yeah, but not even, it won't be character stuff like animation, that kind of thing. I think is going to be hard to do unless you're trying to bring someone back from the dead, and then somebody, you still need a human to tweak
it. But the problem with AI is I feel like they can't create. AI is just a derivative of what we have already created as humans. Is that not right? Or
it's sort of right, except if you remember the sort of AI images that people were sharing online about 6 months ago, it keeps re-educating itself on what has been created by it and other humans, and so then it becomes its own thing, and then that's where you get like images of people with 18 fingers, or there's this language that's not Cyrillic and not Arabic. It's just
I hate this crap.
It's weird. It's annoying. Listen, man, it's your future, so
I don't care. I'm sick of I just hate this AI conversation.
I know, it's not.
I don't get it.
not going to go
Wow.
away. And the good news is SAG and the Writers Guild are doing a very good job, I think, of determining what the rules should be around it in our industry.
Boy, the fact that we are now talking about this instead of The Flash really sums up our feelings. Like, we can't even come up with a whole hour of discussion about this movie.
That's okay with me.
I feel like we
It's-
covered most of it.
I think we covered the
Because it
basics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it sucked.
It's, and I love,
This would be a great movie to watch in your new backyard, JP.
mhm.
Everyone's
Right.
mingling a little bit.
Leave it running in
Everybody's
the background.
got a drink.
Right.
You tune in for some cool, like, loud moments, and then you're
Mhm.
like, all right, back to another boring action scene. Go
Or
back to
just
me.
boring drama scene. Though
Or whatever.
I'll give you this much. They did set up the can of tomatoes very well, and I felt satisfied when at the
Right.
very end he put the tomatoes on the top shelf.
Right. And
I
there was
agree.
great satisfaction with George Clooney being the one thing that's different in his world.
I love
because
that.
he did change something in the past.
Yes, exactly.
Like something had to change, and that was satisfying. So
Yeah.
it's ultimate review is uneven and
Yes.
disappointing,
Yes.
but there are moments that are worth streaming, but never paying any more than that for, which we all did at
Yeah.
the theater.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I have an AMC Stubs pass, so I
Still
didn't.
paid for it.
I paid IMAX prices, baby.
Oh, you
It's
saw it in IMAX?
20. I saw it in IMAX too. It's 25 something for an IMAX ticket. My
Oh, wow.
Yes, sir.
AMC pass is $24.99 a month.
Oh, that's great that it covers IMAX. I didn't.
Yeah,
realize.
it does.
Yeah, it covers
Okay.
IMAX, Dolby, all of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I saw Transformers.
Oh, let's
Yeah.
quickly get that review.
It was not good.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah. JP,
what
you
a
look so,
surprise!
you guys
What
look
a-
so surprised.
What a massive surprise!
I wanted it to be good for you.
Yeah,
No, it just wasn't. First of all, I had a big problem with the fact that there's no like love story.
Oh.
Nothing. He
Who's
has
the-
no love interest in the movie. And then all of a sudden at the end, he turns into like it becomes G.I. Joe or something.
Yeah,
Like
I heard
they're
they're gonna do a
merging with
crossover.
G.I. Joe. I'm like, what?
What's the explanation for these robot race turning into
Animals.
None.
Right.
None.
Yeah,
The whole premise of the initial Transformers is that they're aliens disguising themselves as cars
Awesome.
because they're trapped on Earth.
right.
Versus now, one, that's not explained at all. You just
Right.
assume like, okay, they're trapped, but I guess they're just cars just cause.
Right.
And then you were introduced to this planet early on where they're animals. They're
Right.
animal robots, but Earth animals. And there's
Right.
no explanation as to why they look like Earth animals.
So they're cars that turn into animals. They're aliens that turn into
No,
cars that turn into
they're
animals.
animal robots. They don't turn into anything. They're just
Right. Instead
animal
of-
transformers.
So all they can do is control machinery.
But
It's not.
they're
worth
not
it
even
trying to
Transformers.
dissect it at this
They
point.
don't transform. They're just animal robots.
Great.
It makes absolutely no sense. There's
Right.
no explanation.
We
It
should-
Warms my heart to see you like this, Anthony.
Yeah,
This is what we've
it's-
trained you to become.
we
no,
really
it's
should-
absolutely bad. It's really bad.
We should watch only shitty movies and review those. I think.
I don't think we're going to have much of a choice. Seems like I don't know what our next. Probably Indiana Jones is
Wait,
next. movie
were there
from what
any trailers that piqued your guys' interest?
not piqued my interest, but there were trailers. I have no interest in Gran Turismo. I'm sorry.
That- I
I
didn't-
look forward to that.
They didn't do Gran Turismo for this one for me. I can't remember. I thought to take notes and then I was
Isn't
like,
it the same for every?
And Blue Beetle does nothing for me.
No, Blue Beetle was one of the trailers they showed. Yeah, it does.
It's
nothing.
okay. I don't know how I feel about it.
It
Looks
also
like
looks like
another-
it has terrible effects with him.
Yeah, it looks like another Flash.
Yeah, he can make any weapon
I-
he wants out of the system. It's just in hand.
Of course you can.
I do think that all these there are cyclical genres. I don't know. We years ago when Star Wars came out, sci-fi was the big thing, and there were rom-coms during the summer were a thing, and
Mhm.
Pixar was a thing, and comic book movies were a thing for a long time. But the thing about all these is they come to an end, and I really feel like we're coming to the end of the comic book
Superhero, yeah.
superhero movies. Like they just are going to stop making money.
Yeah.
And it happens every time. All the studios overproduce. They saturate the market with so many of them. The quality of them goes down. Marvel is suffering from this. There's way too much Marvel product now.
It's making me really appreciate the 10-year span of those Marvel movies.
The originals.
From Iron Man to End of Ultron, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Avengers. It was just really
that was
good.
it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I don't know what the next thing is going to be. Like, who knows? Westerns could come back, and all of a sudden, everyone's talking about the next Western. I don't think it's going to be that. But
I think our era of television is going to really influence film. Like I was saying, the serialized nature of things, and also the complex characters that leave a lot of room for moral quandary and questioning of, the films that make us work a little harder, I think that's what I liked about Nolan's Batman's, quite honestly, is you were like, oh, Bruce Wayne is a mess. And
I did see a new trailer for Oppenheimer, and for the first time, I was like, oh, I kind of do want to see it now.
I know, me too.
I want to see it.
Me too. Yeah. But that's the example that we're talking about. We're hungry for something deeper than what The Flash can provide.
I think so. I feel like the world we're just more educated worlds now, especially in the space of like mental health and things like that. And I think we're craving more than just the superficial stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Like The Flash was.
We have hope. Yeah, and The Flash is not.
We have hope, and we're not idiots, and we want to see things that actually.
But the title of our show is Les Idiots du Cinema.
That's right.
Well, that's referring to you guys.
Yes, of course. It's full circle. The irony.
What are
is
you in this?
Yeah, you're the genius, Anthony. Good.
Oh,
all right. That's it for this episode of Les Idiots du Cinema. We hope you enjoyed our idiocy, and will subscribe, and share wherever you are listening to find podcasts. That would keep us in some money, probably at some point. Anyway,
I think we're far away from that. But
we are. Well, we're making like
part of my retirement plan.
Maybe $10, but we do run ads on it because we would like to keep doing this.
Oh wait, I did notice that. Okay,
do for free.
I feel like you got to stop that. You ran an ad on our third episode, and the first 30 seconds, because I wanted to listen to it.
Yeah,
I tune in.
Over that.
I tune in, and there's a 30-second ad. I'm like, what? We want people to listen, not tune off.
Well, I didn't get any of this money.
If you want, neither did I. Look, I'm running ads so that we can keep this thing going.
I feel like we should do no ads for a bit.
I know that's very idealistic of you, but I'll look.
We gotta earn our ads.
We can't
monetize it immediately.
We truly appreciate your reviews and ratings, as they help us to make the best show possible. Thank you to my co-idiots JP Bernardo and Anthony Caro. I'm Adam Paul, and we'll be back with another movie soon, probably late July.
Les idiots du cinéma.